All right, hello, one and all. Welcome back to NCAA, our Northwestern Wildcats NCAA 04 Dynasty. We are pumping up the coaching strategy back to pass yet again. I normally adjust them for our bowl games to try and scheme against our opponent. Hopefully the sim works in our favor. It doesn't always do that, but yeah. So all of our bye weeks are sandwiched together, so we're going to get through this schedule here. It's pretty much going to be a gauntlet for our boys, and hopefully we can make it out alive and capitalize off of our amazing season last year. I'm praying that we can. We start off by the time we play our first game ranked number 1 in the nation. It has to be the first time we ever have, as we beat South Carolina convincingly and cruise into our second straight home game with the Utah Utes. A bit of a high-scoring affair, but we do win this one pretty convincingly and retain number 1 in the nation as we go on the road to play Washington State. And we lose that game, a close game, 33-35. Is going to hand us our first L of the season. And we are going to for sure drop as we go into play number 8 Ohio State at home, as we're ranked number 11, and Ohio State hands us another L. They beat us really bad, so we were starting off really strong, and then just like that, we were 500 and probably dropping deep into the top 25. We were 19th, and we need to get right against the Golden Gophers. You know we do. We always need to, and there it is. We send Minnesota to 1-5 as we have another crushing victory over the Golden Gophers, because that is what we do every single year. We just don't lose to them. We just don't do it. As we play Indiana, who also only has 1 win on the season. Another high-scoring affair with the Hoosiers, but we do manage to win and get back up to 4-2. We're still cruising somewhere in the teens of the top 25. San Jose State may as well have been an FCS opponent, as we play our third straight 1-win opponent and put 65 on their heads, and our defense holds them to 3. But we're not going to have another easy opponent, as we are playing number 10 ranked Wisconsin, and this time we do come out alive. Wisconsin does not trip us up and poop all over our dreams. We are able to continue winning as our win streak goes to 4, with number 22 Purdue on the schedule next, and we have an absolute shootout with them as well, but we are the ones standing on top. A lot of 40-something to 20-something games this year so far. We've had like 3 of them so far. Purdue again battling to stay above 500. Not surprised. And our biggest victory yet over the Penn State Nittany Lions. We shut out the Nittany Lions. We pay them back for year number 1 where they beat us 10-0, I think. Will we play that game? You can watch that game. I wouldn't recommend it. But we do beat Penn State, who's having a terrible year, and probably potentially for the Big Ten Conference, we play number 4 ranked Michigan and beat them by a touchdown and hand them their first loss of the season. And that could have potentially saved our season in the Big Ten, as we finish off with a win over the Fighting Illini, who instead of being 2-10 is now 4-8. So we finished ranked 7th in the nation. We are 10-2, but 7-1 in conference. That loss to Ohio State makes things interesting, but boom, it doesn't matter, because there you see we have won the Big Ten. For the first time in our coaching career, we have a Big Ten conference title. Can you believe it? It's amazing. There it is. Stare at it. Gaze at it in all of its glory. We've won the Big Ten. Now, obviously, we didn't play well enough in our season to get any BCS nods or anything like that, so that probably just means that we're on pace for a Rose Bowl appearance, I would venture to guess, and there you see it. We are invited to play the USC Trojans, who is number 2 in recruiting, you remember. They had the most 5 stars of anyone, I think, in the country. They are welcoming us to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena to play them for a chance at that beautiful trophy. And we are absolutely going to take them up on that challenge, being the representatives from the Big Ten. It should be another pretty evenly matched game here. We're 7th, they're 9th, and there you see the tail of the tape here. Things are pretty consistent, I guess, between the two of us. They're a little bit more well-rounded of a team, but our passing offense is so much more potent than theirs is. Our offense is just a lot more effective because of that. So this should be a relatively easier, or not easier, but I mean, I think we're going to edge out here as the better team overall. And there's a turnover differential. You see it's very good, probably because their defense was doing their absolute best at generating opportunities for our offense, because you know we need them with how many picks and turnovers that we end up having in these games. So we are going into now the Rose Bowl. We get another bit of gameplay here in this video, so I hope you enjoy watching the Rose Bowl, or as much of the Rose Bowl as we're going to put in here. I try and edit these games down just so we're not watching full hour-long sims of NCAA 04. Unless you're into that thing, I got plenty of that kind of stuff on the channel if you're into that sort of thing. But for the sake of time, we're just going to cover the big plays and opportunities here. Try and get our second, or I think it's our second straight bowl victory in as many years as we beat Tennessee the previous year in the Capital One Bowl, as I mentioned. And there's Adam Lamb here, a little bit less impressive of a season this year as he had last year. He threw for well over 3,000 yards last year, so this year he's had a little bit of downtime. He's probably been injured because that's what the Sims always do. They just make your guys injured because, of course, none of our big role players from last year are really on the team. We got some different guys that we'll be seeing when we flip through the stats. So hopefully we can shore up and look strong against this USC Trojans team here. So we already have a third down. We're going to hand it off to a running back, and he's not going to go anywhere as the Trojans defense has that one very well covered. So we're going to have to bring up the special teams unit for a chip shot field goal from about the 21-yard line, and that is good. So we take a 3-point lead here early on in this football game after burning some time off the clock here. So at the top of the second quarter, we have another scoring opportunity. Lamb's going to drop back and find his man open in the end zone, and that is going to be a Northwestern touchdown. So we will extend our lead over the Trojans as their offense hasn't been able to do much of anything so far in this game. Late in the first half now, we have another opportunity with the ball. Lamb under some pressure, but he finds an open man across the middle of the field and gets brought down on that Rose Bowl logo. And there you see the breakdown between the two of them. Lamb has been a little bit more potent on offense here as the Wildcats are going to try and move a little bit quick here to try and score before the first half is over, which is 47 seconds left. A lot of clock burned off here. Lamb's going to drop back a little bit, and he finds an open man. He just weeds through the defense, threads that needle. There was a small, tiny lane to get that ball through and for our receiver to kind of break off, but there was no one back behind him as USC played that route pretty aggressively, and it does not pay off for them. See, their defender overran our receiver. I think it's McGowan, but he breaks off for a beautiful play, and we are going to extend our lead even further over the Trojans. We are late in the game now. This is essentially just garbage time, and they're still making mistakes as an interception is thrown, and there's no one in front. A pick six for Davis. Davis was the one who had the interception, I think, last year in last year's Capital One against Tennessee. He was the one who had the pick six. Or no, he didn't have the pick six. He got brought down before, but 27-7 is going to be your final score against USC in the Rose Bowl. We win ourselves another bowl game. You love to see it, man. 2 bowl games in 2 years, and they're good ones too, man. One of them's a Rose Bowl. We're not talking Music City Bowl, Humanitarian Bowl. No, dude. Talking the Rose Bowl. We're moving on up here as we have another double-digit win season here as head coach for the Wildcats. And there you see the beautiful Rose Bowl trophy. Look how gorgeous she is. Oh, man. It's going to be nice putting that in our trophy case right next to our Big Ten championship, because that's right, we did that too this year, in case you forgot in a few minutes. And look at this. This is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. The team that we just beat in the Rose Bowl is saying, hey, man, you did pretty good out there. You want to come coach us? First of all, why would you fire your coach after that game? I mean, you guys had an amazing season. Why would you fire your coach? And then second of all, were you really that impressed by my performance in the Rose Bowl that you think I would, hey, can you do what you did in that game for us? We'd really appreciate if you did that for us. But USC, I don't know what they're on. They're smoking something, man. They're on something. So we're going to stay with Northwestern, of course, because that is what the name of the game is. That's what the goal of this video is to do. It is to lead the Wildcats. So we are pretty far into our quest here because I'm just doing up until 20 years or so, 20-ish years. Basically the 2022 season, I think, is where I'm stopping it. And so we are just 10 years away from finishing that goal, realizing that potential. Unless, of course, we get fired, which is always a possibility. Any man can lose his job anytime, and we are no exception. Because I'm pretty sure the program still wants us to win a national title. We at least won the conference this time. And oh my gosh. Oh, ew. Colorado State, out of nowhere, wins the BCS. My brain's broken. The Colorado State won. Go Rams or whatever, I guess. They beat Texas. What happened to Oklahoma? Where are they at? Louisville? You couldn't repeat? You couldn't three-peat, actually? Make it for the third straight year? Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on that as we're flipping through All-Americans. I can't even. It doesn't even matter. I don't think we have any selections. I'm stuck on Colorado State being national champions this year. Anyway, looking over our All-Americans, we don't have any. I don't think we had any freshmen that were really making a big start this year. I think they're all sophomores or juniors at this point, so nothing much really to do. But man, a lot of Colorado State guys here. Maybe they had a nice team, and I just didn't realize. Maybe they're nice like that. Are they nice like that? I guess so. But Colorado State's probably going to take the cake for the weirdest team to win a BCS national title, other than Air Force, who won in 2007. Other than that, it's pretty much been exactly who you expect. But we're going to look into our own sets now and carry on. So we have 3 quarterbacks attempt to pass this season. Everyone seemed to have gotten the ball, and there you see the production fall off here. He was actually a lot more efficient as far as completion percentage is concerned, but threw for far less touchdowns, threw for far less picks even as well. And the yardage is down by a considerable margin. So unfortunate, to say the least, for Adam Lamb. But we still have some time with him for him to really step into his own and become the goated Wildcat quarterback that I guess we're hoping for him to be. No Clark Huff, no Sprague, none of that, bro. They're not here anymore. It's just the Adam Lamb show. We have a 1,000-yard rusher, and I haven't been keeping track of that stat. I don't know how many of those we've had. I think it might have only happened maybe once or twice in previous years. Like maybe in like 04, 05 we had one, but yeah, we have a 1,000-yard rusher, which is just weird. It's gross, too. I hate it. And we don't have a 1,000-yard receiver for the first time in like 3 or 4 seasons, as Rob McGowan, who had the touchdown, I think 2 maybe, in the Rose Bowl. He is our leading receiver. So you factor in the Rose Bowl stats, he probably was well under 900 yards heading into that game and under 10 touchdowns. So, I mean, really, we didn't light up the stat sheet with our passing game, and that's really where I focused our efforts. So, again, our O-line doesn't have a whole lot here. Whitaker had much better production from last year, but as Hardy has basically the same. I think he's the best guy on our line, too. Hardy is. I think he's our highest overall. But Antoine Walker has another fantastic season on the line. Eric Talley does not. He has a terrible year. Yeah, so moving on to defense now. Wesley Christensen, our outside linebacker, has 104 tackles. I think that that's not our first 100-plus tackle guy, but it's been a while since we've had that. So our TFL leaders here at the top, really impressed by those numbers. 15, 17, good. It's good for me. A good number of sacks here. It seems like a pretty even stat across the board. A lot of guys in the 6 to 5 range. No one really lighting up the stat sheet with 11 like last year. Which is unfortunate because he was a freshman, so I was hoping he'd get better and be a little bit more disruptive, but I guess not. So an identical kicking season to last year, because that's just what happens all the time. That's what happens. They never kick any better. They just kick worse. They just kick the same. But hey, 12 touchbacks, that's pretty impressive from 0. I mean, what the improvement. Quite the improvement, actually. So looking at here from returns, who really cares about the returns? I don't really care unless we get return touchdowns. But looking at our stat rankings, again, we're kind of all over the place. Even with a 1,000-yard rusher, we still finished 97th in the country with yards per game, which is kind of wild, honestly, when you think about it. So we allowed a lot of sacks. That's not great. But our red zone percentage was really, I guess, where we shined. We were 4th in the nation. If we were in the red zone, we were scoring on your head. That just seemed to be how it worked, which is nice. So here's our defense. Our defense, we had a pretty highly ranked defense. Again, we were awful efficiency-wise. Just, I don't know what makes that better. I don't know if there's a setting I can have or a coaching strategy I can select. Yeah, we're just not good. So I also want to point out, too, how we finished. We started off this year ranked number 2 and finished off ranked 6, and last year we started off at 9 and finished ranked 3. So kind of flopping around here. I know on paper, I guess the season doesn't look as good because we finished 11-2. But winning the Rose Bowl to me is a little bit more prestigious than I guess winning the Capital One Bowl and going 13-1. So last year we just kind of got unlucky with rankings, and there you see here in the standings. That win over Michigan that we had at the end of the year for sure gave us the conference, even though Michigan had a better season, I guess. They had one more win. Who cares? Purdue drops all the way down to 6-7. They were in the middle of the pack here. Gross. I think they lost their bowl game, too. That's why they're 6-7. Minnesota only winning a single game. Indiana's up 3 games from where they were last year, winning 0 games. But remember, Purdue was one of the only 3 or 4 teams in the Big Ten that were in the top 25 recruiting classes, and they finished towards the middle here of the Big Ten. So we're going to move ahead now into our next video, and I hope to see you guys in the next season.